The Galactic Council chamber hummed with a chaotic symphony of alien voices, a wild mix of translated murmurs, the subtle hum of gravitational tweaks, and, yep, you guessed it, the occasional, awkward methane puff from the Jovian delegates. Just another day in this cosmic circus, right? Some species always had to strut in, puffing their chests, claiming they'd cracked the code to ruling the universe. Today, the spotlight shone on the sex, a race that looked like a bizarre mashup of a mountain and a bodybuilder, as if the universe started sculpting and then just threw up its hands halfway through. Their leader, High Commander Zex, stood tall at the central podium, his crystalline body sparkling like a disco ball under the chamber's blazing lights. Can you imagine the audacity? He was literally flexing his silicon-based muscles, showing off like he owned the place. For 12 cycles, we Sex have crushed every challenger in the trials of dominance. Zex's voice thundered through the translation matrix, so loud it made the more delicate species fumble with their earpieces in a panic. Our crystalline structure? Unbreakable. Our strength? Unrivaled. Our intelligence? Beyond your wildest dreams. Oh, please. The chamber practically groaned with a collective eye roll, or whatever passed for one among the eyeless species. The gaseous collective from Nexus 7? They just swirled their misty forms in the sassiest pattern imaginable, like they were saying, "Get over yourself, buddy." Council Elder Vix, her tentacles lazily waving in that way only a bureaucrat could master, cut through the noise with her droning voice. "The challenge system isn't just for show, you know," she said, sounding like she'd rather be anywhere else. "If you Sex want to keep your title as the galaxy's toughest, you've got to face all comers. Rules are rules." High Commander Zex's crystalline form glittered with smug confidence. "Ugh, the nerve. Challengers? Bring them on," he declared, practically daring the galaxy to try him. "We insist on it. Let everyone see the Sex's unmatched glory." A holographic display flickered to life, courtesy of the Council's Grand Archive, showing off the Sex's highlight reel of victories. 12 cycles of challengers, all reduced to cosmic roadkill. Some were nursing metaphorical bruises, others literally piecing their limbs back together. The Sex didn't mess around. Their victories were as subtle as a supernova, all raw power and zero finesse, like swinging a quantum hammer at everything in sight. Who dares to challenge the might of the Sex? Zex's voice echoed, practically shaking the walls. Who'd be crazy enough to step up? Then, with a hydraulic hiss that sounded like the chamber itself was scoffing, the massive doors slid open, and strolled a figure. And, oh my gosh, can you believe this? They were decked out in casual wear. To the horror of the stuffier species, this being's soft, pinkish skin looked about as threatening as a gentle breeze on a sunny day. "Phew, good thing I didn't miss the sign-up sheet," the human said, chomping on a protein bar like they were just grabbing a snack at a gas station. "So, where do I sign up for these trials?" "A human? Are you kidding me?" The chamber fell so silent you could hear the protein bar wrapper crinkle as the humans stuffed it into their pocket. Of course, they'd save it for recycling later, because apparently, even when staring down potential death, humans are weirdly obsessed with not littering. Their laid-back swagger toward the podium seemed to personally insult every shimmering facet of High Commander Zex's crystalline body. The artificial gravity couldn't hide the tremors of his heavy steps as he spun to face this unexpected rival. "You? A human?" Zex's translator practically choked on the words, dripping with disbelief and a hefty dose of disdain. "Your species barely crawled out of its industrial revolution. You're still dodging hurricanes you can't control." Can you imagine the shade he was throwing? The human just shrugged, pulling out another protein bar like it was no big deal. "Yeah, well, you win some, you lose some, right?" they said, waving vaguely at the registration terminal. "Speaking of winning, can we hurry this up? I've got a penguin documentary downloading on my ship, and I'm dying to see if those little guys make it." Elder Vix's tentacles curled, maybe with a hint of amusement. Who could tell with her? "The registration process requires full biological data, species history, and a signed acknowledgement of the very real risks," she said, her voice as dry as a desert. "Done," the human chirped, somehow finishing the entire registration while everyone else was still processing their audacity. The holographic display flashed their entry, representative of Earth, Human Space Confederation. Boom. Just like that. Zex's crystalline form quivered. Was it laughter or pure rage? With silicon-based life forms, who could even tell? You realize, soft one, he sneered, that the trials of dominance have crushed species far stronger than yours, leaving them as warnings in the Grand Archive. The human, unfazed, whipped out an old-school smartphone and started typing. Hold up, just updating my social media, they said, grinning. About to compete in the Space Olympics against some grumpy crystal dudes. My followers are gonna eat this up. Oh snap. The council members swapped nervous glances. The last time a human said something would be a hit with their followers, 3 solar systems ended up looking like avant-garde art exhibits. The trials begin at dawn, Elder Vix announced, her tentacles scribbling on official documents with a flourish. May the strongest species prevail. Sweet, the human replied, already sauntering toward the exit. Quick question, any coffee shops around here? No. Guess I'll fire up the emergency espresso machine in my suit. The doors slid shut behind them, leaving the chamber in stunned silence, tinged with the faint, ominous scent of roasted coffee beans. Was that a sign of doom? You bet it was. The trial arena was a sprawling masterpiece, stretching across an artificial planetoid, its gleaming domes basking under the glow of 3 artificial suns. The human strolled in right on time, which, can you believe it, somehow ticked off the sex even more than if they'd been late. The trials of dominance, Elder Vix's voice boomed across the arena, have been the galaxy's ultimate test since the Galactic Council was founded. 5 challenges, each pushing the limits of species superiority. The human nodded, casually stretching while sipping from a can labeled triple-shot espresso. Heart attack in a can. Who even makes that stuff? High Commander Zex took the stage, his crystalline form throwing rainbow reflections everywhere. First up, the trial of pure strength, he declared. You'll try to move an immovable object forged from neutron star matter. Neat, the human said, glancing at their wrist device. Gotta get my steps in today. Zex pressed on. Second, the trial of endurance, surviving a full rotation in the void chamber. Oh, sweet, like a spa day, the human quipped. Third, the trial of mind, solving the quantum paradox maze. I crushed Wordle this morning, so I'm ready. Fourth, the environmental gauntlet, facing the galaxy's harshest conditions. Sounds like a Tuesday in Florida. And finally, Zex's voice hit a dramatic peak. The trial of composite skills, where all challenges merge into one epic test. Cool, the human said. Any lunch breaks? I packed sandwiches. The crowd of alien spectators buzzed with a mix of amusement and worry. In the diplomatic section, ambassadors were already drafting backup treaties, just in case. Elder Vix raised all 4 tentacles for quiet. The rules are clear. Complete each trial or admit defeat. Win 3 out of 5, and you claim the title of strongest species. Any restrictions? The human, rummaging through a beat-up backpack, piped up. Only natural abilities and basic environmental gear allowed, Zex said, smirking smugly. No weapons, no fancy tech, no outside help. Got it, the human replied. So, my crossword puzzle book's cool for downtime, right? A sex scientist scurried over, scanning the human with a flurry of gadgets. Incredible, he muttered, baffled. Their bone densities barely above solidified carbon. Their muscles? Just protein and liquid. Their protection? Some cotton blend fabric. Another scientist chimed in, sounding downright offended. They're wearing a gym outfit and running shoes. Who does that? High Commander Zex's crystalline face twisted into a smirk. Last chance to back out, soft one, he taunted. Facing the galaxy's strongest species with whatever that is. Most would call it suicide. The human, tying their shoelaces, stood up with a grin. Thanks for the concern, but I'm good. Quick question, though. Can I play music during the trials? I've got this killer playlist called Songs to Prove Alien Life Forms Wrong. The crowd gasped. Were they serious? In the diplomatic section, someone started drafting a galactic peace treaty, just to be safe. The trial of pure strength kicked off with a bang, unveiling a massive cube of neutron star matter, about the size of a shipping container. Zex, showing off, hoisted it above his head like it was nothing, his crystalline muscles barely flexing. Your turn, soft one, he chuckled, slamming the cube down with a thud that shook the ground. Don't break yourself trying. The humans circled the cube, humming Sweet Caroline. Can you believe the nerve? And sizing it up. Quick physics question, they called out. This cube's mass stays constant, right? The sex scientists nodded warily. Perfect, the human said, bracing against the cube's edge and pushing, not up, like Zex, but sideways, sliding it across the slick arena floor with shocking ease. What kind of sorcery is this? Zex roared. It's called friction reduction and mechanical advantage, the human shouted back, now pushing the cube like it was a giant shopping cart. Your gravity generators are super consistent, too. Nice touch. Want me to spell out sex rules with these cubes? I'm thinking bold, block letters. By the end, the human had rearranged the neutron star cubes into a giant, cheeky, smiley face. Talk about a power move. The trial of endurance threw them into a void chamber, a near vacuum designed to push any species to its limits. The human strutted in wearing a vintage space suit that looked like it was scavenged from a museum. Is that duct tape holding it together? An observer gasped, horrified. Some of it, the human laughed. The rest is hope and a splash of WD-40. While Zex stood stoically in his fancy environmental field, the human turned the chamber into a zero-G dance party, rocking air guitar solos. And what was that? Attempting the worm in midair. How are they so energetic? A sex scientist marveled. Caffeine, adrenaline, and a whole lot of spite. Another answered, staring at the data in disbelief. The trial ended with the human teaching maintenance droids the Macarena. Iconic. The quantum paradox maze, the trial of mind, was a mind-bending labyrinth of shifting probabilities and quantum riddles. The humans stared at the entrance for a hot second before whipping out their ancient smartphone. What are you doing? Zex demanded. Checking Wikipedia, they replied, scrolling. Fun fact, this maze's quantum setup is kinda like the game Portal, but with extra existential dread. What followed was pure chaos. Brilliant or cheating? Who could tell? The humans speed-ran the maze, exploiting probability loops and, get this, ordering a pizza through a temporary quantum tunnel. This is impossible, a sex scientist shrieked. They're solving quantum equations with video game logic and sheer audacity. The human, munching on quantum pizza, shrugged. Quantum physics is just like rating a college fridge, probability and guesses. They finished in record time, leaving a trail of solved paradoxes and pizza boxes that both existed and didn't. Mind blown. Elder Vix's tentacles twitched, maybe from a headache. 3 trials down, all passed, technically. Awesome, the human cheered. Anyone want in on my maze speedrunning Discord? I'm thinking weekly events. Diplomats started drafting apologies for ever doubting humans, and one was already sketching Team Human merch. Zex's crystalline form was cracking under the stress. This means nothing, he roared. The real tests are coming. Sweet, the human said, setting up a live stream. I'm calling this vid Crystal Clear Victory, get it? 'Cause you're all sparkly. No? Tough crowd. The environmental gauntlet was a gauntlet of deadly chambers, each mimicking the galaxy's harshest conditions. Zex, brimming with confidence, boasted, from Nexus 9's acid storms to the Forge world's plasma winds, no species but the sex has survived them all. The human, slathering on sunscreen, just nodded. Cool, like a weather tour. Anything worse than an Australian summer? That's my benchmark for ouch. The first chamber unleashed acid rain that could melt steel, but the human popped open a Hello Kitty umbrella and strolled through, checking their phone. Limited edition, they called out as acid slid off. Waterproof and acid-proof, who knew? The plasma wind chamber was like a mini sun, but the human emerged in beachwear, slightly tanned, griping about forgetting sunglasses. It's hot, but Phoenix in July's worse, they said. The crushing pressure chamber? They did yoga poses, saying it helped their back. The absolute zero chamber? Jumping jacks and bad computer jokes kept them warm. They're not just surviving, they're having fun. Elder Vix gasped, her tentacles flailing. Zex, cracking more, screamed. They're cheating. The human, stepping out of the final chamber, checked their fitness tracker. Nice cardio, they said. Your acid rain's weak compared to LA smog, though. The final trial of composite skills was a physics-defying obstacle course, blending quantum anomalies, neutron star platforms, and every lethal hazard known. Zex, pulsing with determination, explained, reach the summit of victory and plant your flag to win. The human, stretching while watching a Mario speedrun on their phone, nodded. Looks like a Mario level, but with quantum doom instead of mushrooms. This is no game. Zex bellowed. Everything's a game if you're having fun. The human shot back, pulling out snacks. No rule against snacks, right? As the klaxon blared, Zex charged through with brute force, while the human laid out a snack trail. Energy bars, water, emergency chocolate, like a cosmic Hansel and Gretel. Motivation, they told the stunned crowd. They parkour speedran the course, surfing plasma waves on their umbrella and swinging on a shoelace pulley. This is just my rock climbing gym, they yelled, dodging quantum rifts. Zex was ahead until the human opened a bag of salt and vinegar chips. The crunch stopped him cold. What's that smell? He asked. Chips, the human said, tossing him the bag. Zex, mesmerized by the sodium chloride crystals, caught it and froze, analyzing. The human sprinted past, planted an Earth flag with a sunglasses-wearing cat, and snapped a selfie. Game over, they posted online. Quantum jumping's a calorie torture. The arena went silent, save for Zex munching chips. They won with snacks. Vix whispered, tentacles limp. Physics, stubbornness, and chips. The human clarified, offering flaming hot Cheetos to the crowd. The galaxy's first snack party broke out, and Zex, now titleless, shrugged. Worth it. We want the chip recipe in our surrender. The council later grilled the human on their prep. Gym 3 times a week, rock climbing, hot yoga, they said. Quantum stuff? Video games and profs who love puzzles. Adaptability? Earth's a death world. The galaxy crowned humans the strongest, and they proposed intergalactic Olympics with quantum parkour. A month later, the chamber had gaming chairs, a snack bar, and sex warriors breakdancing. Parkour, anyone? The human grinned, as Zex, now a yoga guru, sighed. Only worry if you're not having fun. Earth planned volcanic obstacle races, and the universe? It was hooked. Oh my gosh, can you believe the sheer audacity of this moment? The gathered dignitaries, all those fancy alien bigwigs, stared in absolute horror as the human yanked out a pair of wireless earbuds like they were about to jam to some tunes in the middle of a galactic showdown. In the diplomatic section, someone was already scribbling a galactic peace treaty, muttering, "Better safe than sorry with these humans." Can you even imagine the panic? This was no ordinary day at the Galactic Council, and the human was about to turn it upside down. The trial of pure strength kicked things off with a bang, unveiling a colossal cube of neutron star matter, roughly the size of a cargo container. High Commander Zex, all smug and sparkly, stepped up and hoisted it above his crystalline head like it was a feather, his silicon-based muscles barely flexing. "Your turn, soft one," he chuckled, slamming the cube down with a thud that rattled the arena. "Try not to break anything important, like yourself." Oh, the shade. But the human? They just sauntered around the cube, humming Eye of the Tiger like they were in a Rocky montage. Can you picture it? After a full lap, they stopped, flashed a cheeky grin, and asked, "Quick physics question. This cube's mass stays constant, right? No matter where it's at?" The sex scientists, looking like they'd swallowed a lemon, nodded cautiously. "Perfect," the human declared, bracing against the cube's edge and pushing, not up, like Zex's showy lift, but sideways, sliding it across the slick arena floor like it was on ice. "What kind of trickery is this?" Zex roared, his crystalline facets practically vibrating with outrage. "It's called friction reduction and mechanical advantage," the human called back, now casually shoving the cube around like it was an oversized shopping cart at a cosmic Costco. "Also, your gravity generators are super consistent. Nice work. Want me to spell out sex rules with these cubes? I'm thinking big, block letters." By the end of the trial, the human had rearranged several neutron star cubes into a giant, goofy, smiley face, leaving the crowd gasping and Zex fuming. Talk about stealing the show. Next up was the trial of endurance, and oh boy, was it a wild ride. The Void Chamber was a brutal test, designed to push any species to the brink with near-vacuum conditions. The human strolled in wearing what they called a vintage space suit, which looked like it was pilfered from a history museum. "Is that duct tape holding it together?" an observer gasped, clutching their pearls, or whatever aliens clutch when they're shocked. "Some of it," the human chirped, "all sunshine and rainbows." The rest is mostly hope and a spritz of WD-40. Can you believe the confidence? While Zex stood there, all stoic and crystalline in his fancy environmental field, the human turned the chamber into a zero-G dance party. Picture this: air guitar solos, wild spins, and, get this, attempting the worm in midair. How are they keeping up this energy? A sex scientist marveled, staring at their scanners like they'd seen a ghost. It's a mix of caffeine, adrenaline, and something called spite, another replied, shaking their head in disbelief. Hours later, the trial wrapped with the human teaching a bunch of maintenance droids how to do the Macarena. The Macarena? In a void chamber? Who does that? The trial of mind was next, and it was a doozy. The quantum paradox maze, a labyrinth of shifting probabilities and brain-melting quantum puzzles. Participants had to solve complex quantum mechanical problems just to move forward. The human? They stared at the entrance for exactly 3.7 seconds. 3.7 seconds. Before whipping out an ancient smartphone. What are you doing? Zex demanded, his voice practically cracking with frustration. Checking Wikipedia, the human replied, scrolling like they were looking up a recipe. Also, fun fact, this maze's quantum structure is super similar to a game called Portal, just with, extra existential dread. Are they for real? What happened next was either the most brilliant problem-solving in galactic history or the sneakiest cheating ever seen. The human treated the maze like a speed run, zipping through probability loops and, wait for it, ordering a pizza through a temporary quantum tunnel. This is impossible, a sex scientist screeched, clutching their data pad. They're solving quantum equations with video game patterns and sheer common sense. The human, chomping on their quantum tunnel pizza, just shrugged. Quantum physics is like figuring out what's still good in a college kid's fridge, they said, sauce on their chin. It's all probability and educated guesses. They blazed through the maze in record time, leaving a trail of solved paradoxes and pizza boxes that somehow both existed and didn't. Mind officially blown. Elder Vix's tentacles twisted, probably from the galaxy's worst headache. 3 trials down, all technically passed, she announced, sounding like she needed a vacation. Awesome. The human beamed, practically bouncing. Quick question. Anyone want to join my maze speedrunning Discord server? I'm thinking weekly tournaments. In the diplomatic section, species were scrambling, drafting apologies for ever doubting humanity. One rep was already sketching Team Human t-shirts with a cool logo. Can you imagine the merch potential? High Commander Zex's crystalline form was literally cracking under the pressure, tiny stress fractures spiderwebbing across his surface. This proves nothing, he bellowed, trying to save face. The real challenges are still coming. Sweet, the human replied, already fiddling with their phone to set up a live stream. I'm calling this video Crystal Clear Victory, 'cause you're all sparkly. No. Tough crowd. Oh, the burn. The environmental gauntlet was up next, and it was no joke. The arena morphed into a series of chambers, each mimicking the galaxy's deadliest conditions. Zex, his crystalline form gleaming with renewed swagger, stepped up. Each chamber is a lethal nightmare, he boasted. From the acid storms of Nexus 9 to the plasma winds of the Forge worlds, no species has survived them all, except us sex, of course. The human, casually slathering on sunscreen, just nodded. Neat. Like a cosmic weather tour. Quick question, anything worse than an Australian summer? That's my baseline for yikes. The first chamber unleashed acid rain that could dissolve steel like it was sugar. The human? They popped open an umbrella. Yes, an umbrella. And strolled through, checking their phone for weather updates. Is that a Hello Kitty pattern? A scientist gasped, watching acid droplets slide off the fabric. Limited edition, the human confirmed, grinning. Waterproof and apparently acid-proof. Who knew? The plasma wind chamber was like standing on a star, but the human emerged in beachwear, slightly tanned, griping. Should have brought sunglasses. This is hot, but Phoenix in July's worse. Can you even? The crushing pressure chamber, meant to mimic gas giant cores, was a bust. The human did yoga poses, claiming it was great for my back. By the absolute zero chamber, the scientists were twitching with nervous tics. The human kept warm with jumping jacks and corny jokes about frozen computers. This is unprecedented. Elder Vix cried, her tentacles flailing like she was losing it. They're not just surviving, they're enjoying this. Zex's crystalline form sprouted more cracks. Impossible, he screamed. They're using hidden tech. The human stepped out of the final chamber, which combined every deadly condition, looking mildly annoyed and checking their fitness tracker. That was refreshing, they announced. Got my cardio in, but your acid rain's kinda weak compared to LA smog. The scientific committee was in full meltdown, huddling over their data. One muttered about rewriting environmental adaptation laws, while another started a paper titled Human Survivability. Why even bother trying to kill them? Zex, practically shaking, demanded, How? How are you so adaptable? The human shrugged, sipping from a water bottle. When you live on a death world that throws everything at you, crazy weather, killer wildlife, you either adapt or get really good insurance. We went with both. In the diplomatic section, species were frantically updating Earth's file from mostly harmless to do not provoke, ever. Can you blame them? Final trial's next, right? The human asked, glancing at their watch. Perfect. My live stream's blowing up. We're trending on Galactic Talk. The final trial arena was a jaw-dropping obstacle course that laughed in the face of physics. Quantum anomalies swirled around neutron star platforms, and hazards from every lethal world formed a deadly symphony. Zex, pulsing with determination, stood at the entrance. This combined challenge demands you conquer all previous trials at once to reach the summit of victory, he declared, pointing to a platform floating in a storm of cosmic chaos. First to plant their flag wins. The human, stretching while watching a Mario speedrun on their phone, nodded. Cool. Reminds me of a Mario level, but with quantum doom instead of mushrooms. This is no game. Zex thundered. Everything's a game if you're having fun. The human shot back, pulling snacks from their backpack. No rules against snacks, right? As the klaxon blared, Zex charged in with brute force, while the human laid out a snack trail. Energy bars, water, emergency chocolate, like a cosmic breadcrumb path. Motivation, they told the stunned crowd. They turned the course into a parkour speedrun, surfing plasma waves on their umbrella and swinging on a shoelace pulley. Just like my rock climbing gym, they yelled, dodging quantum rifts. Zex was ahead until the human opened salt and vinegar chips. The crunch stopped him dead. What's that smell? He asked, distracted. Chips, the human said, tossing the bag. Zex caught it, mesmerized by the sodium chloride crystals, and froze. The human sprinted past, planted an Earth flag with a sunglasses-wearing cat, and snapped a selfie. Game over, they posted. Quantum jumping's a workout. The arena went silent, except for Zex munching chips. They won with snacks. Vix whispered, tentacles drooping. Physics, stubbornness, and chips. The human clarified, offering flaming hot Cheetos. A galactic snack party erupted, and Zex, titleless, shrugged. Worth it. We want the chip recipe. The human's victory shook the galaxy, proving humans were unstoppable. And their snacks? Pure diplomacy. Oh my gosh, can you even believe the scene unfolding in that cosmic arena? The human was just chilling, doing pre-trial stretches while glued to their phone, watching who knows what like they were about to hit the gym, not face a galaxy-defining challenge. Cool, they said, barely looking up. This course reminds me of that one Mario level. You know, minus the mushrooms and plus the hole might get zapped into quantum oblivion vibe. High Commander Zex, all crystalline and furious, practically exploded. This is no game, he thundered, his voice shaking the arena. This is the ultimate test of species superiority. The human, unfazed, just grinned, rummaging through their backpack. Everything's a game if you're having fun, they shot back. Oh, quick question. Rules banned weapons and fancy tech, but snacks are cool, right? Snacks? In a galactic trial? Who even thinks like that? Before anyone could process that bombshell, a klaxon blared, and Zex launched into the obstacle course like a crystalline freight train, his shimmering form slicing through challenges with ease. Meanwhile, the human? They popped open a bag of chips, and started munching like they were at a movie theater. What in the stars are they doing? Elder Vix demanded, her tentacles twisting into knots of pure confusion. The human, cool as a cucumber, started placing snacks along their planned route. Energy bars, water bottles, and something they called emergency chocolate. like they were leaving a trail of cosmic breadcrumbs. Motivation, they explained to the baffled crowd, grinning. Plus, you gotta stay fueled during a workout. Can you imagine the aliens' faces? What followed was either the most jaw-dropping display of genius or the most absurd problem-solving the galaxy had ever seen. Honestly, probably both. While Zex bulldozed through obstacles with raw crystalline power, the human turned the course into what they called a parkour speedrun with snack breaks. Picture this. They zipped through quantum anomalies like they were shortcuts in a video game, surfed waves of plasma on their reinforced umbrella like it was a boogie board, and, get this, rigged a pulley system using their shoelaces and a neutron matter block. This defies every law of physics, a sex scientist screamed, practically tearing out their equivalent of hair. Nah, the human shouted back, swinging past on their makeshift pulley with a grin. This is just Tuesday at the rock climbing gym. The quantum stuff's a fun twist, though. Are they for real? Zex hit the final stretch first, his crystalline body starting to show cracks but still charging toward victory. It looked like a done deal, until the human unleashed their secret weapon. They cracked open their last bag of salt and vinegar chips. The crunch echoed through the arena like a cosmic thunderclap. Zex froze, turning toward the sound. "What's that smell?" he asked, his voice tinged with curiosity. "Salt and vinegar chips," the human replied, munching casually while dangling upside down from a quantum uncertainty field. "Want some?" "Can you believe the audacity?" What's that?" "Sodium chloride." Zex's crystalline form vibrated, suddenly fascinated. "Yup, with a kick of vinegar powder," the human said. "Great for electrolytes. Here, catch." They tossed the bag in a perfect arc, and Zex, acting on 12 cycles of battle-honed instinct, snatched it out of the air. His crystalline hands analyzed the chips instantly. "This is pure sodium chloride in perfect crystalline form," he mumbled, completely entranced by the snack's molecular perfection. While Zex stood there, hypnotized by a bag of chips, the human casually parkoured their way to the summit of victory, planted an Earth flag, featuring a cat in sunglasses, because of course, and snapped a selfie. "And that's game," they announced, already posting to social media. "Thanks for the workout. Gotta tweak my macros, though. Quantum jumping burns serious calories." Oh snap. The arena went dead silent, except for the faint crunch of Zex munching away, totally oblivious. Elder Vix's tentacles drooped in sheer disbelief. "The human won? With snack food?" she whispered, like she couldn't wrap her head around it. "To be fair," the human said, climbing down while checking their fitness app, "I also used physics, some slick problem solving, and that human thing where we get super stubborn when someone says we can't do something. But yeah, the chips? Total game changer." Can you even imagine the chaos that followed? The scientific committee was in absolute shambles. 3 members kicked off a research project on human snacks as a potential peacekeeping tool. Can you blame them? Another was furiously drafting a thesis called The Strategic Application of Sodium-Based Warfare. The human, still grinning, reached into their seemingly bottomless backpack. "Hey, I brought enough for everyone," they announced. "Who's up for some flaming hot Cheetos?" What happened next was either the galaxy's first interspecies snack party or the dawn of a new diplomatic era, maybe both. High Commander Zex, still crunching on chips, had to be reminded, multiple times, that he'd lost his title as the galaxy's strongest species. "Totally worth it," he declared, grabbing another bag. "But we're demanding the chip recipe as part of our surrender terms." Who knew snacks could be so powerful? The Galactic Council called an emergency session, and let me tell you, it was a sight. Empty chip bags and snack wrappers littered the floor, and Elder Vix's tentacles were still stained with cheese dust as she banged her gavel, or whatever tentacles use, to start the meeting. "We must discuss the human's victory," she announced, sounding both awed and exhausted. And more importantly, how in the cosmos they prepared for this. The human, still rocking their gym clothes, lounged in the witness chair, scrolling through what they called viral highlights of their win on their phone. "Can you believe the nonchalance?" "Tell us," a council member demanded, practically leaning out of their seat. "How long did you train for these trials?" The human glanced up, looking confused. "Train? Oh, you mean prep? Well, I hit the gym 3 times a week, do some rock climbing on weekends, and squeeze in hot yoga when my schedule's chill." The chamber fell so silent you could hear a pin drop or a chip crunch. But the quantum physics solutions? Another member stammered, clearly losing it. Oh, that? The human said, waving a hand. Mostly video games. Plus, Earth's quantum physics profs love turning everything into puzzle games for us students. Super handy for real-world stuff. Hi, Commander Zex, now sporting a Human Victory Tour t-shirt. Yes, really, leaned forward. And the environmental adaptations? How? Listen, the human said, leaning back. When you grow up on a planet where the weather flips from scorching to freezing in a single day, and everything from the sun to the squirrels is trying to take you out, you either adapt or get really good at whining. We picked both. The council's scientific committee stepped up, looking frazzled but fascinated. Our research shows humans prepare for everything and nothing at the same time, one scientist declared. They turn life or death challenges into games, handle deadly situations like it's just another Tuesday, and, get this, see snack breaks as a legit tactical move. Also, another added, sounding almost scared, they're driven by spite, curiosity, and something called for the memes. We're still trying to crack that one. Can you imagine the council's faces? Elder Vix's tentacles curled, maybe in deep thought or just pure exhaustion. So, what do humans plan to do with their new title as the galaxy's strongest species? She asked, bracing herself. The human finally looked up from their phone, blinking. Oh, right, almost forgot about that. Well, first off, who's down for an intergalactic Olympic Games? I'm thinking competitive quantum parkour could be a total hit. The chamber erupted in a mix of terror and excitement. Can you blame them? Some species immediately started training, while others began sketching merchandise for the proposed games. Meanwhile, the human had already launched a Galactic Games social media account, racking up followers faster than a quantum particle could blink. One galactic month later, the council chamber was unrecognizable, and oh boy, was it wild. A snack bar had popped up in one corner, dishing out everything from protein bars to alien-friendly chips. The stuffy old seats? Swapped for what humans called ergonomic gaming chairs, so comfy. Even the Jovian delegates were rocking Earth-style workout gear, puffing methane in neon tank tops. The galaxy's changed forever, Elder Vix mused, her tentacles wrapped around a protein shake, sounding half amazed, half terrified. Humanity's influence is spreading like a quantum virus. Can you picture the transformation? The human, now crowned Chief Fun Officer of the Galactic Council, yes, that's a real title, was busy teaching a squad of crystalline sex warriors how to breakdance. Check this out, they said, helping a sex nail a backflip. Earth's got tons of cool stuff. Extreme sports, competitive cooking shows, even musical chairs. Several species shuddered, clearly thinking, what's next? The last thing the galaxy needed was more human hobbies that doubled as survival training. Is that a threat? A nervous delegate squeaked. Nah, the human grinned, all charm. Just an invite. Oh, by the way, anyone heard of parkour? Hi, Commander Zex, now a certified yoga instructor. Talk about a glow-up, paused his meditation. Should we be worried? He asked, half joking. Only if you're not having fun, the human replied, pulling out their phone. Oh, and heads up, Earth just voted to host the first intergalactic games. We're kicking off with something chill, like obstacle course racing through active volcanoes. You know, beginner stuff. The galaxy was never going to be the same, but holy cow, was it going to be a blast. Somewhere on Earth, a group of humans was already scheming their next big thing. Extreme quantum baking championships, with physics-defying soufflés and desserts that popped in and out of time. The universe didn't stand a chance against humanity's wild, snack-fueled spirit. Who's ready for the cosmic party?